Well, my name is Barbara Jordan, and it is March 31st, 2010, and we are in Mesa, Arizona, specifically in the sound booth at Mesa Community College's Center for Teaching and Learning. And I'm sitting here talking with a colleague and friend, and I will let her introduce herself.
Hello, my name is Nancy Hellner, and I teach in English, Women's Studies, and Humanities.
Nancy, how long have you been teaching here at MCC?
I've been teaching here full-time since 1992, but I was an adjunct for many, many years before that.
So why don't you tell me, what are you most proud of as a faculty member?
Well, actually, those things have changed as the longer I stayed here, the more I realized that I was just proud of so many things about MCC. Personally, I guess that I was lucky enough to fall into the developmental teaching area, and I realized that I loved that, and so I was proud of the fact that I was on the Emerging Writers Committee. I was an editor for the Emerging Writers booklet for a while, and I just loved the fact that it seemed that students really grew as people and as students in developmental, and I was very proud of being in that section of English for a long time. I worked on committees, and we had grants and all sorts of things, and I was very passionate about it for a long, long time. And then I discovered women's studies. I was led to women's studies by teaching Introduction to Film, and I always wondered why there weren't more women included in the textbooks. And so I started doing some researching, and that led to me developing a class called Women in Film. And I'm very proud of that because I think it makes the world a little more balanced. And I'm always, of course, trying to, like most teachers, see where we can affix some justice to things. And I thought it was nice to have Women in Film be one of the core courses of women's studies, and actually it's a humanities class too. And the final thing, I guess, is that along with some other people, I was in a group of people who began the Women's Studies program here at MCC, and we even have a academic certificate now in Women's Studies. So those three things probably are my favorite things, and some of the things I'm the most proud of.
Well, they do seem like pretty great accomplishments, and I've seen some of that stuff, and I think you know that I've had students that you've had, and you've had students that I've had before, and I was always really impressed. The students really, really love you. They really do. And often I'll have students that were in class with me. They were in higher level English as a second language classes, and then they move into the developmental English, and they'll have you as a teacher. And when I see them, I'll always ask them, well, who's your teacher now? And they'll say, oh, Nancy Hellner, and they just get a real smile on their face. So I want you to know that you're a very much loved teacher. Are you surprised to hear that? Yes,
I am, and I am very happy. That probably makes me more proud than anything else, because of course the students. That's why we're here, and whether people admit it or not, I always want them to think that they got their money's worth. I'm glad. That just makes me feel good to think that I could help somebody and that they appreciate it.
And also, with the emerging writers, I don't know, right now we're at the point where people have to be submitting to the Emerging Writers Contest right now. And I know sometimes I'm just like, oh, who has time to get the students to do this? But those ceremonies, when we go to the ceremony and are letting them read their writing out loud, it's a really good feeling, isn't it?
It makes it all worthwhile. I sometimes think that we forget what, in the business of making lesson plans and grading papers, but when you see those students and their friends and their family and they read, it's difficult, it's hard, it's scary to get up and read, and they do that and they share their thoughts, and oh boy, I think that all of the teachers just feel so proud and realize that this is what it's all about. The paycheck helps, but this is really what it's all about, to know that you are actually having a positive effect on someone's life, at least for a few minutes.
Oh, that's wonderful. So let's see what else I have here to ask you. So what have been some memorable moments for you here at MCC?
Well, one memorable moment was when a student who was an older returning student went from being in 061, back then it was the lowest developmental class we had, to the next semester registering in Honors English 101, because she just, grew that much. And I thought that reminded me that everyone has the potential. Sometimes developmental has sort of a negative connotation. And it reminded me that people sometimes just need the right push in the right direction, and they're ready to bloom and blossom. So that was one, and we've kept in contact. A lot of the most memorable ones are things that have happened in the classroom, or students who have come back later and said, although you were really strict and I didn't really like you a lot, I have to tell you that helped me in or whatever. And a couple of them said that they might become English majors, so that I thought that was nice too.
I've never had any student say that to me. That's pretty wonderful.
One of the strangest experiences is when I guess I was being an absent-minded professor. I was in class in the last semester that I taught 101, English 101, and a student said, "Dr. Hellner, are those your golf shoes?" I said, "Well, of course not." And I looked down, and by gummy, I had on my tan and white golf shoes. And I said, "Oh my gosh, that means my hush puppies are in the garage." and and the students laughed. But that student actually who asked me was one who returned later and said, "Because of what we've read, Martin Luther King essay, etc., I think I'm going to become an English major." And that just sort of, I thought it was funny that he pointed out one of my worst clothing faux pas, which of course are numerous, but that he was one that came back after that semester. That was the last semester I taught 101. I just thought, I can't do it anymore, because what if I don't have my golf shoes with me?
I know. What would there be to talk about? So you don't teach any 101 at all anymore?
No, I teach only developmental, and I teach women in film, and then I teach an online class called Classic Foreign Films.
That sounds wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
What are you watching right now?
We are watching The Seventh Seal by Bergman.
Ooh,
it's wonderful.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
So any other memorable moments you want to mention?
Oh, I knew that I was supposed to be thinking about this, but I forgot.
Well, it seems like you've already given me 2 or 3,
okay,
which is great. All right, now this is the one that's always very interesting for me to hear the answer to, which is, what specifically has inspired you to continue to teach?
The students that you reach, that you can see have been changed, and changed for the better. People think that I'm exaggerating when I say that college saved my life, but it did. Had I not gone to college, I was not college material. When in high school, when college recruiters came around, I was always sent to the study hall because I wasn't deemed college material. No one in my family thought I was. I certainly didn't. No one in my family had ever gone to college. So it was such a surprise when I ended up going to my little state college, and it was mostly because there was really nothing else to do. I'd done every little job there was in my hometown. And I didn't think I was college material, and I certainly didn't have any study skills, but I liked to read. And so the first semester, I just found out about things that I didn't know anything about, political science and literature and things that I didn't know. And it just turned my world upside down. And I know that if I hadn't gone to college and become a teacher, that I would be dead, or something worse. I don't know. So the reason I continue to teach is because I know that students need to know that their lives can be changed for the better. Every one of us, not just to be little worker bees, but to have richer lives. And I think that, I just want to pay back what my teachers did for me. And that's why I do it. I think that's why most teachers do it, actually.
That's wonderful. Now, what about this? We know you're getting close to retirement now.
May 14th, but who's counting?
And so how or for what would you like to be remembered at MCC?
I'd like to be remembered as a fair and good teacher. That's probably it. Someone who was fair, and someone who made the class enjoyable, but someone who got the material across in a way that the people will use it and maybe not forget me right away.
Let's make sure that they don't.
All right.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
I haven't said much about my colleagues, but I have to say that for a big department like English is, I have met some great people. And although our conversations have been memorable, many, over the years, they've just been wonderful. Those little asides that people say outside the office. I really felt that I was lucky to get this job, and I still feel that way. I just think it was a dream job. So part of me thinks if when I feel sort of sad about leaving, at least somebody else who is excited as I was is going to be in that position, and it is a dream job, and I'm glad I got to work here.
I think we've been very lucky to have you, and we're going to miss you very much.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you very much for participating in this little venture. We'll see how it goes.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
That was nice.
That was fun.